Don't capitalize and profit off lying. That's not a nice thing. Here we are, once again, filming another video, recording another video, and hopefully, in your case, watching another video. Maybe even, borderline, potentially, tolerating another video. What we're going to do is, let me warm up the arm for this one. We're going to discuss something slightly different. I see the comment section, I read them all. Shay, I see you. I know you requested this, and here we are. I'm listening. The women of the industry, and whether they're natural or enhanced. It wasn't in the last video, but he's here now. This is my handsome boy. He's very large, but he's still a big baby. Still a big baby, aren't you? Still a big baby. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Look at this handsome boy. Another day, another bridge. Let's crack on with the video, and let's crack on with the sweatiest piece of headwear I've ever worn. Starting off strong, Stefanie Sanzo. Probably butchered the name, but we're going to go with it because it's what I do. So Stefanie's come up a few times. I know Doucette has done a video on her, and I know a lot of people have questioned her like Natty status. And what I mean by Natty is natural. And what I mean by that is not on enhancements, i.e. no PEDs. Couldn't care less if you're natural or not. Does not bother me in the slightest. Your body, you do what you want with it. Just understand that if you are going to go down that route, you must weigh up the pros and the cons, look at the risks to the rewards, and make the decision yourself. But make sure that decision is informed, you've done sufficient research, and you are fully ready, in most cases, to commit to this lifelong lifestyle change. What I have an issue with is people who claim natural when they're not, in addition to those who capitalise off doing so, i.e. saying, I achieved this body by doing this and this, buy my supplements, buy my workout plans, and you can do it too, when in reality it's like, you did achieve that body, maybe doing this is this, but also dabbling with some other bits and bobs in the meantime. Be honest, so if you're on enhancements, say you're on enhancements, or just don't say anything at all. Don't claim natty, don't claim enhanced, just say nothing at all. Sorry I ramble, let's crack on with it. So Stefanie, interesting, mum of two, respect that. Big name in the industry, I know she is. I think she's a powerlifter. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she has dabbled with some powerlifting. Obviously fantastic physique, as you would expect. I know for a fact she's very strong, seeing her shifting some good weight, i.e. this is 160 kilos here, so 3.5 plates. Good technique, solid, look at that back positioning. When doing the conventional deadlift, obviously I know I preach look down, like look in the direction your spine wants you to. Whereas when sumo deadlifting, because the torso angle is usually more upright, many people do find it's easier for them to stick their head up a bit more. If you're conventional deadlifting, I'd probably look at the floor or look in front of you, wherever your spine wants you to. Whereas if you're sumo deadlifting, if you find it benefits you looking up, then look up. Do I think she's naturally enhanced? Going to be honest with you, I'm probably going to lean more towards enhanced rather than natural. Again, I have no evidence of this, I have no proof. Therefore, I will rarely definitively state that this person is natural or enhanced. I'm just saying I would more likely lean towards enhanced than natural. The amount of muscle mass she has is very impressive. Her strength is very impressive. There are many factors come into it. Just because she doesn't look like quote unquote masculine, as a lot of people do associate enhancements, so PEDs, with more of a masculine look, as they are often very much testosterone based, these enhancements, doesn't mean she's not dabbling with something. It could be something like SARMs, things like that. Rene, I've butchered the name, but we're going to go with it, but this is going to be the easiest one ever. First of all, incredible physique. Mass amounts of muscle, I respect that, looks fantastic. Realistically, if you're an IFBB pro, I'm going to say there's a 99.9% chance you're enhanced. It's the federation that hosts the Olympia and the Universe, and they don't test, so they don't test for PEDs. I would deem this level of muscle mass to be unachievable naturally. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, I never am. I would be very interested to see a side-by-side comparison of her 5 to 10 years ago versus now. Not so much in the physique changes, but more so like the jaw. These testosterone-based PEDs can, in many cases, depending on the person, depending on what you're taking, so many factors to consider, they can enhance masculine features, more defined jawline, etc, etc. And not all of these people do claim natural or enhanced. Some people, again, just don't really speak about it. Very quickly, I must interrupt you for 22.5 seconds. If we get 350 likes on the video, that would be fantastic. That is the goal. And if we do so, I will make a part 2. In addition to that, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the red button down below and the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week. And if you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below in the comment section for comment question of the week. Don't think I don't know who's not subscribed and who has subscribed. I see you. If you're not going to subscribe for me, subscribe for the puppy and the cat. But nonetheless, I won't interrupt you any further. We'll crack on with the rest of the video. This is going to be an interesting one. Sweeney, a name that has popped up a few times. And first of all, to be honest, a big red flag for me immediately is 110% natural. Advertising how natural you are, that's usually quite a red flag of, are you trying to hide something? These goggles getting all steamed up, I can't see. Ooh. That's bright. She trains incredibly well. She's got an unbelievable physique. She's a very strong individual with pretty solid technique as well, I'll give her that. Sometimes I look at her and think, you know what, yeah, I think you could be natural. So when considering like enhancements and physique changes that can often come with, people look at kind of 3 primary like points of androgen receptors around the body. So you look at the upper traps, the rear delts, and the upper chest. So for natural athletes, those 3 areas commonly are quite weak, i.e. underdeveloped. When you go in enhancements, they do tend to develop a bit faster due to androgen receptors and whatnot. The rear delts are there popping again here. The traps are kind of popping a bit too. And again, the rear delts and the traps, they are there once again. Indeed popping. Personally, I'm going to lean more towards the enhanced rather than natural side of things, and I'll tell you why. If Sam is taking anything, I would lean more towards her taking something like Anavar, perhaps, which is what many consider the woman's steroid, because it's very commonly used by bikini athletes. Another thing with Anavar is really good for strength gains. She's a very strong individual. Again, her strength isn't unachievable naturally. I'm saying it could be contributing to it. It also gives you that dry, hard look. It almost looks like someone's put the sharpened filter on her back. Again, not definitely, just potentially. I'll compare it to someone who I believe is natural, and I'll do a side-by-side comparison of what I mean. Kathryn and Kendra, so the KK Fit twins. They're strong, they've got a good amount of muscle mass, and they train really well. There's a lot of debate whether they're natural or enhanced. Personally, I'd probably lean more towards natural than anything. Despite them having quite a lot of muscle mass, it's also nothing unachievable, nothing crazy. They obviously have very good genetics, and they train extremely hard. I'll show you what I mean about the dry look. So if we do a side-by-side comparison, but this is what I mean, if you look at the comparison, this is what I mean by the dry, hard look. It's hard to pinpoint it, but the skin looks very dry, the muscles are very hard and dense. It's not really consistent across the board here. So this is what I would deem to be someone who may well be taking something like Anavar for that look, versus someone who I believe is most likely not taking anything. Ashleigh Jordan, another name I have spoken about before, and again, this person is in question from what I've read based on her big transformation. You can tell she's obviously in good shape here. She's got some muscle mass, a bit newer to the gym, 6 months into the journey, huge changes in her physique and her development. And a lot of people have questioned, is she taking something? I don't think she has taken anything, personally. Again, never 100% because I never am, because I can't be 100% without sufficient evidence. And even then, can you ever be 100%? Here's another quick comparison. So look at the rear delts here. So we're looking here. They're obviously there, you can see them, but they're not popping, they're not massively developed. If anything, one would say they are potentially underdeveloped. Whereas if you look at Sam here, you can really see, I know that obviously there's a big difference in muscle mass. Sam does have a lot of muscle mass and is much leaner, but you can really see those rear delts popping. That's often quite a solid piece of information to base your assumption on. Cass Martin, again, obviously I've covered her recently, actually a couple of weeks ago I want to say. Fantastic physique, extremely strong individual, trains bloody well as well. Sometimes I see her and they're like, oh, you could be dabbling with something, but other times they're like, actually, you know, I believe that you're probably not. And that's a big thing. It's really hard to tell on Instagram and via social media, because sometimes you look at people and be like, yeah, you're taking something, but then you see them in real life be like, oh, actually, maybe you're not. So it is hard. Obviously, lighting, angles, camera trickery, Photoshop, potentially, who knows? So many things could be playing into it. Like here, for example, you look and be like, oh, your traps are quite developed. They might be popping a little bit. Yeah, it could be a little bit suspect here. A little bit suspect. Then other times you're like, oh, actually, maybe not. Maybe you are natural. Who knows? But again, there are some images I see, like this one, for example, where I'm there like, oh, actually, you could well be dabbling something. Again, here, you could well be dabbling something. Personally, I would probably lean to her being more likely enhanced than natural. I just think there's a higher likelihood of her taking something rather than nothing. Maybe not now at this stage in her life, potentially in the past. In my belief anyway, once you cash in that Natty card, i.e. take an enhancement, you are no longer able to claim Natty. Hanna Öberg, again, a Gymshark athlete. And this is a tricky one because I'm not here to throw shade, but I kind of am. There's a strong association between fake natties and Gymshark. When Matt Ogus and Jeff Side were really blowing up, they really almost started the fake natty trend, where they all claim natural when they're very likely enhanced. Then an association between fake natties and Gymshark formed. The common assumption is now, if you're with Gymshark or affiliated with Gymshark as one of their athletes, you're more likely to be enhanced than you are to be natural, but I don't think that applies to everybody. So Hanna is someone I've covered before, and Hanna is someone I'm actually quite a fan of. Obviously, I know she has done some questionable things regarding training in the past, which I will look into in the future when I do a deep dive in her. As a whole, in the grand scheme of things, she's got some good stuff out there. She does some good things. Obviously, she's got a lot of muscle mass, but she doesn't look wildly unrealistic and wildly unattainable. Like, she's strong, she lifts well, she eats well from what I've seen. A lot of factors play in her favour, based on her physique, based on her strength, although both extremely impressive, I don't believe she has taken any PEDs to get there. This post actually popped up in the Discord recently. GLJFitness UK. This is a photo of this individual around the time of her show, because she did compete, where she's extremely lean, ready to step on stage. Then this is her 3 weeks post-show. I think this picture really gives a good indication of whether I believe she may be natural enhanced, and personally looking at her physique based on her muscle mass, her conditioning, all sorts, I believe this person is likely natural and likely competed naturally. If this individual did use anything, I would say that the most likely thing for this person to have used is something like clenbuterol, which, although I don't believe it's hormone based, so it's technically not a S word that I can't say without YouTube smacking me, it is still considered a PED. And clenbuterol is a very aggressive but also very effective fat burning enhancement. So a lot of people prepping for shows often use clenbuterol to basically diet down or accelerate the fat loss process, whilst potentially helping them maintain muscle mass. But unfortunately it is quite taxing on the heart, we'll say. Personally, like I said, I don't think she has taken anything or did take anything, but if she did, I would say it would have more than likely been clenbuterol. I'll tell you another sneaky tip that some bodybuilders use, or some competitive athletes of the physique variety. So sometimes they use thyroid medication to accelerate the fat loss process, like levothyroxine. But that's it. That's the video. This is merely me giving my opinion based on what I have seen. Again, I've not seen everything, but I've seen bits and bobs, and I would say enough to form an opinion. But that opinion is subject to change depending on exposure to new information. At the end of the day, as I have stated before, I have no issue with people taking enhancements. It's completely up to them. I think it's a personal choice, and that individual is in charge of their body. Either be honest or don't say anything at all. Don't capitalize and profit off lying. That's not a nice thing. So I would say a snaky move, and although I love snakes the animal, I don't like snaky behavior. Although one individual may have a naturally achievable amount of muscle mass or a naturally achievable conditioning, that does not mean that you will achieve those same results. We all have a genetic makeup. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. You can do the best that you can do. Because I have been victim to believing people are natural when they're not, and buying into supplements and programs and whatever it may be, because I trusted them, and only to realize when you learn more and more that they're likely on enhancements. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a chemist. I just know what I know through my own personal research. I've never studied anabolics or PEDs through university. So whatever I say here is merely my opinion. But now that's done, it's time for comment question of the week. Tips for healing after overtraining a muscle, like DOMS day 3 and 4. Overtraining is actually a lot harder to do than people think. Overtraining usually comes from massive amounts of CNS fatigue. Ultimately, if you still have DOMS 3 or 4 days later, it doesn't necessarily mean you've overtrained. In fairness, it's actually not a bad thing to train with DOMS. Oftentimes, I go to the gym when I'm still sore, and then you almost find that sometimes it can almost promote recovery, perhaps due to the increased blood flow to that area. But you need to decide, are the DOMs so bad that you need an extra rest day, or are the DOMs manageable that you can train through them? If you need to rest, have a rest, make sure your nutrition's good, your sleep's good, hydration's good, all those bits and bobs. But if you want to power through it, only you know if that's the right thing for you and your body. But that's it. That's the video. As I said earlier in the video, if we get 350 likes on the video, that would be bloody fantastic, and we'll do another one, like a part 2 of this. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the red button down below and the bell next to it, so you get notified when I upload every week. If you have a question you want me to answer, drop it down below in the comment section and I shall do so. Thank you for tolerating my waffle, thank you for tolerating my headwear, and thank you for tolerating the video.